That last piece of scripture really hit me. Children of God, and we will be like him. Ever think about that? We shall be like him. How did that work for doubting Thomas? Think about that. We shall be like him. When our dear Mary, a.k.a. Tammy, was up reading here a couple minutes ago, we talked about seeing Christ. She didn't recognize him at first. Then he spoke. People saw him in a glorified body. Does that mean a spiritual body that you could pass your hand through? No, because Thomas was allowed and asked to put his hands in the holes in Jesus' hands and a hole in his side. So it was a physical body, different perhaps, and we're to be like him. And that's pretty comforting to me. Today we talk with the young people as though they were witnesses to all that went on with the cross and then all that happened after that. And I hope we depicted that for you. And if not, we're going to put an imprint on at the end of the service. What's it mean to be a witness? A number of years ago, right outside this door, two little boys ran across the street into the traffic. And a dear lady made a mistake. She wasn't speeding, but she ran over the little boy. Then she panicked and backed over his leg a second time. I'll never forget it, as long as I live. Yours truly, being the dummy that he is sometimes, scooped up the body and away we went to the hospital. Today, I'd be in court or I'd be in jail probably for touching the body. But you do those things. What if the little guy had died and we were the only eyewitnesses? We have lawyers in our midst today. I know a lot of judges. Sometimes the truth is not what we think the truth is. And two different people seeing and witnessing something from a different perspective might have a little different take. But with Jesus, there is but one truth. If we take another look at the resurrection, and we should, if you and I were witnesses to that incredible event, what's our responsibility? Do we have a responsibility to share that and share that witness with other people? Tammy and I tried to depict that this morning. Those workers, those caring people, depicted that by standing up and saying, I'm willing to stand at this point. Had you been among the select few, 500 plus, who witnessed Christ after his resurrection, wow. Would you have hidden that in your heart? Would you have kept it a secret? Would you maybe gone over and told RC, man, I got something to tell you. I'm bursting to tell you. Or would you have grabbed a microphone or a megaphone and told the world? We're all different. But you and I are called to be his witnesses. As for me and my house, we must serve the Lord. I want a mic. I want a megaphone. I want to tell what I've seen. I felt that as we were sharing the thing this morning, Tammy. Isn't the same true today with church attendance, especially with young people dwindling away? I'm coming, I think, to the knowledge that it isn't the kids that are failing. It's we as a church that are failing. We're failing to share that word down through the generations. And hence there's kids who have never heard about the great commandment, perhaps even resurrection, God forbid even the cross. So is it the church that's failing, or is it the young people that are failing? "50 years ago, right here, People made commitments to the Lord and are still holding true to those. Not that we haven't slipped. If you talk with Kay and I, or even Roger, we've slipped along the way. We've made mistakes. We've not done all that we could have done in certain aspects of our lives. But when God calls you to follow his lead, you have a choice. You can follow and do what you sense he's calling you to do, or you can choose to walk away, and your life will never be complete. It'll never be complete because you chose not to follow what God's called you to do. I still stand amazed at the man right about where Jeremy is right now, gave that vision for this church. And he said, I see kids coming and coming and coming to this church. We have a chance right at this moment, folks, to get united with a group out of Johnstown. In fact, if you come by tomorrow when the workers are here, you'll see a young gentleman named Daryl right outside the door directing traffic. Daryl works with troubled kids in Johnstown. Daryl tells me his relatives, his own people, are leaving high school at Johnstown High School with less than a 7th grade education. And they're called a graduate. They can't read, they can't write. The industries have mostly left. It's a tough place for a kid. Is it possible that God's going to use us to help touch some of those lives through Teen Quest, through some of the other avenues that we have? That's up to us. I issued some challenges to our young people this morning having to do with Nehemiah and the Nehemiah journey. And the Nehemiah journey sprung out of WCA, the Wesleyan Covenant Association, which was the group that was trying to bring stabilization to the old United Methodist Church and maintain that conservative nature that it once was. And they said, if you ask God to put people in your path every day, people of peace, he's going to do it. Now, what do we do with them when he puts them in our path? It's up to us. We could invite them to youth. We could invite them to church. We could, God forbid, start a Bible study in our own home. We could become part of some of the activities that go on in this church or other churches. That's up to us. One way or another, we make a decision, don't we? God calls us to be witnesses. God placed, and I mean this very sincerely, Jack and Kellen and Danny and Eli and the 3 gentlemen, and certainly Nikki and Eva in my path to renew me. No question in my heart, to renew and encourage me to keep going. You get discouraged sometimes. You get beat up sometimes because the devil's going to attack you if you're doing anything for the kingdom. So where's our witness? Where's our wilderness area today for you and me? Can it be in our place of work? Can it be in our community? Can it be at Walmart? Can it be outside the door with Daryl? Uptown at Brian's shop? It's where God places us, what God puts on our hearts. I have a dear buddy. His name's Chuck. Chuck's the pastor at Jennerstown United Methodist. Well, it's not United Methodist anymore, Jennerstown Community Church. Chuck does a thing called Walk Through the Bible. How many have heard of that? Walk through the Bible. In about 3 hours, Chuck can take us, and he's done this with us, I think at least once here, maybe twice, take you through the entire Old Testament or New Testament in 3 hours. For those of you who are not totally vested in the Bible and reading the Bible, I think it will renew your zeal in studying the Word. For those who have not been exposed to the Bible, it could excite you to a place where you can't put the Bible down. So I think we're going to invite Chuck back to encourage us and support us with that. It talks about a Jewish nation set apart, all the way back in Genesis. We trace that through Exodus all the way up to the New Testament. I'm a history guy. I like history, and the Bible just clicks for me pretty well on that. This Nehemiah Journey project, though, has brought me to a place, I think, I'm aware of the people God's putting in front of me. They're like shining lights. You walk into a grocery store, Aldi's, and you haven't seen this person for 20 years. Perfect example, Julia. Perfect example. People haven't seen each other in years, and all of a sudden God reconnects you. Is that coincidence? I think not. He's done that for a purpose. So many of our friends who live all over the United States and attend other denominational churches, and I'm not throwing stones at anyone this morning, if they watched our service this morning, they probably saw more truth than they've seen in a long time, because people are not preaching from the Bible. People are not preaching what God's laid on their hearts. Part of what's happened to me in the past year is God placed 20 kids in this building one day. 20 kids from Uganda. Now, fortunately, I grew up in Bethel Park, and we were a mixed area. We had all kinds of people of different nationalities and backgrounds and whatever. And I had some very good friends who were different skin tones than what I was. But I've never been around 20 kids like those 20 kids from Uganda. And to know that their church families in Africa were not allowed to make a decision about whether or not to disaffiliate from that denomination at that point tears my heart up. Where will they go? Now, God's still in charge, and we can pray for those people. Those kids have touched my heart, I can tell you that. There's people in this room, one maybe sitting close to me, that were so touched they want to go to Africa and be part of a water project that we're going to do there to help build a well for those kids. Today, right in front of you, we witness people making a covenant. Not so much in front of you. That's important because we're the church flock, we're the church family. Probably not so much in front of me because I'm just a lowly shepherd. But they made a covenant with God. That's big stuff. It doesn't get any bigger. They will make, in their lifetime, no more important decision, including marriage, than what they made this morning. And some of you may quietly at your seats made that same decision this morning to follow God a little more carefully. There's more people waiting to make that same decision. Several talked to me this week about wanting to join the church. I'm excited about that. But you know, I sit in classes sometimes, especially with these 7 characters that were in front of us, and I wonder who's teaching who. Because they have questions. Some of them are searching. Some of them are really dealing with a relationship with God right now, and I want to be a part of that, and I hope you do too. Some, I think, are seeking to fill a hole in their hearts. Leah was talking in class this morning a little bit about how do you make decisions in life. Now here's a 14-year-old telling an 82-year-old how to make decisions in life. But she had perception. And she says, maybe when you get older, you look back upon the people that God put in your life way back when, and it clicks finally. That's pretty perceptive. That's pretty special. I watched these young people over the past few weeks with their zeal and their hunger for God to inspire us. And I think I can say to you with all the fullness of my heart, the Holy Spirit's at work in this church. He's on duty. And if we call out to him, he'll answer that call. So as we close with the benediction, and then we're going to put up on the screen that final song that Mary, Tammy, and I sang, walked you through. Maybe you'll sing along with it. Let's join together with the benediction, please. You are